Hey, what's going on YouTube? Well, I don't even know if this is working, but hopefully it is. And sorry if you hear my desktop or my computer overheating. But today we're gonna take a look at a video, and I'm gonna be doing a list of ranking every gadget from worst to best in Battlefield 4. And sorry if you hear the background, but hope you guys like, subscribe, and let's get started. Alright, so, I don't know what, um, I don't know what should I do, what should I rank first. Who we have? So, Gadget. Oh, okay. Let's do law. I think it's law. Yeah. Um, hmm. Yeah, we're gonna do the law first. Actually, no. Let's do the A9. I actually would say the A9 would be. I'll put it to. Say it's a great. Because, like, think about it. Like, the A9. I think when it was first launched, it was kind of overpowered. Well, it wasn't really overpowered, but at the same time, it was because you had two of them, and you could just place down two of them. And each A mine will actually deal like 50 or something damage, which is enough for a mobility hit for a tier like this against stuff like a helicopter. And I think A mines are extremely annoying because they're pretty similar to active radar missiles, except the fact that the way how people use them is, alright, let's just say as if there's a scout heli coming after you, right? And then you can use the aim mine to defend yourself. Once you place the thing down, the thing will automatically fire, and then it would just hit the helicopter. Like, most of the time, any helicopter pilot doesn't really have a chance just to use their countermeasure. They're just gonna get the hit. So I put it as a great, because it's extremely annoying. Alright, what we had next? What am I gonna use? I'm gonna use the repair tool. Alright, I'm gonna rank that as the best because, come on now, this is extremely useful for when it comes to tank combat. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a tank driver or a gunner, because as long as you're like one of those, it's one of the best. It doesn't matter like what vehicle you're using. You can even kill infantry. Just like, what else do you want for the repair tool? It's one of the best, especially if you have the field upgrade, which is the mechanic, which you can repair stuff 35% faster, I think. Pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. You can also slowly and surely repair like nearby vehicles. There's just a whole ton you can do with the repair tool, especially if you have the mechanic field upgrade. It just makes the repair tool a lot useful in those situations. Alright, so let's see what we have next. I'm gonna go with the RPG. I'll put that as, I'll put it to great. because RPGs are really good. Slow moving projectile. Slow moving, hard hitting type of projectile. I think the only issue with the RPG is that it's just the velocity. The velocity of the RPG has well, where I'm getting it, it has a little more drop. Uh, yeah, I think other than that, the RPG is a really good gun. Not good, a really good launcher or gadget, and it's so satisfying just to shoot down helicopters and jets. And also, it actually does the most damage for every listening. So I kind of, and at the time, the RPG used to actually have it can be used to laser designate, but not anymore. But yeah. All right, let's see what we have next. Ooh, oh, this is very easy. The Ds3 Decoy. Put straight up to trash. Now, here's the thing. The Ds3 Decoy, it's not trash, but it really feels as if it doesn't fit for engineer. That's the thing. And like seriously, it doesn't take long for any enemies just to realize that it's literally a trap. Like who else is gonna go fuck with this? And I think you can use this against lower level players. I mean, if you use this against lower level players, it's just super funny. I mean, I used this only once. I don't get the full understanding of this thing, but for all I know, this is like you could just use this as bait. But yeah. Other than that, I really don't see a use of this thing, and it's very underrated because you don't see this thing a lot in the battlefield, for a lot of games. But yeah, so I just put that straight up to trash. I think this is the MBT wall, is it? Hmm. It's just small. Put a small right there. Kind of actually no, I actually put that probably one of the best launchers in the game. Actually, it's a little bit debatable, so I'm actually gonna put the RPG in the small, like in between, like the best launchers in the game. Like for right now, a lot of people are using the RPG in small. It's just like how they're going in Battlefield 3. They're just it's a little bit comparable or competitive of which is better because the RPG is a slow moving, hard hitting projectile. As long as you get the use of the mechanics and as long as you get used to how or calculate where the rocket is going to be going, it could be a really extremely useful rocket launcher for you can use this in any situation. Same thing with the small, except the only difference with the RPG and the small is that the RPG is a slow moving, hard hitting projectile, plus it has bullet drop. Small on the other hand, it does more damage than the straw and also the law, but uh, it's not as powerful as the RPG. And on top of that, it actually has it is high speed, low dragging. So, I mean, the velocity is probably not as bad, but not as great as the law. Um, but yeah, the small is actually not bad, and I'll say this is like one of the best launchers. All right, what we have next? We have the straw. I'm gonna actually put that to overpower to meh. Because here's the thing, like when this straw was first launched, this was like one of the go-to rocket launchers when those first launched. And the reason is just because this is a wire-guided anti-tank missile, and the way how a lot of people like it is one of those launchers that it takes a lot of skill, especially its purpose was to take down helicopters and like, no, it's like the same thing as a tow missile. The best way I can put it is it's a portable tow missile. That's the best way I could say it for the Cyril. Like you can, it's pretty decent against tanks. The only problem is if when it comes to tank combat, yeah, sure, they won't get alerted. But the problem is that the first hit, yeah, you can hit them, but the second time, and it doesn't matter if the Stinger was like nerfed or something like that. But yeah, it was very useful for taking out helicopters. But the reason why I put it to meh is because it got a lot of nerfs. Like the blast radius is reduced, the damage, the turn radius, which is, and also the, it does explode. It doesn't have as much range as it used to have. Like you can literally fire this thing up and just guide the thing down. That's how ridiculous the range was. Kind of makes it seem as if you have almost infinite range with the Sirron. But yeah, and you can even do the wombo combo at the time. That's how overpowered it was at the time. But now it has really fallen. It has really fallen. And you don't. I'm not saying you rarely see people use the Sorrel, but you don't see a lot of people just use the Sorrel. Like you can see people time to time use this thing, but it's just a little bit clunky or just weird just to guide the missile. Just because, like, if you compare it to like a tow missile on any vehicle, or even the tow launcher itself, the tow launchers on, or the tow missile in general on vehicles is a lot faster, or is a bit better to control than what you think with Syrah. So yeah. Alright, so we have next. I'm gonna do, this is like 13 gadgets. I'm gonna do the Stinger. I will put the Stinger to, I'll put it mediocre. Because I also think the Stinger is very good, and I think it has been nerfed a few times. I haven't really checked the patch notes or something like that. But I think it's not as powerful as its Battlefield 3 counterpart. I would say the Stinger, I think it's a fire frigate, a anti-air missile. Okay. I think the only problem I will say for the Stinger is it's not, as long as you're a good helicopter, or if you're facing against any helicopter drivers or any aircraft pros. As long as they have ECM, uh, 95% of the time they're going to spam the ECMs, and most of the time it just doesn't as well. If they're stupid enough just to stay in your range, or if they're just for whatever reason they just don't run away or retrieve or something like that, and actually find a spot for you to kind of to be unable to withstand, to lock on. But the reason is because of my experience with the Stinger is, if you're facing against people that has like fire extinguisher and flares, then yeah, sure, this is a good launcher and you can take them out without a problem. As long as you're not playing maps like Siege of Shanghai or something like that, because most of the time you're gonna see a ton of helicopters or jets. They're gonna find some cover to have the AI of the missile to miss. Or they could just run ECMs and then become okay, pop it up, and none of the ECM does last for a little bit while. Uh, you're just gonna see the missile just circling around. It's very random for the missile to randomly hit, even if they popped out the ECM, because it's possible to do that. It's a bug, by the way. But for the most part, the Stinger, it's just a little bit of a 50-50. But I think as competitor, which is the Igla, I think this is a better version. I would say this is the better anti-air. But really, if I had to be honest, the straw is probably the best at the time. It really is. It does piss a lot of players off because for everybody that tried to master the straw, it's like they just waste their time using that. And it's like now they have to relearn the straw, and now people graduate towards the stinger, which is for no skilled players. But yeah, Igla, I kind of would say overpowered to Mev once again because I think its purpose for the Igla is it's supposed to lock on because yeah, the Stinger and the Igla they kind of do the same amount of damage and they have the slowest lock on time. And I'm talking about for out of every lock on like laser guided missiles, Javelin, the passive radar, the heat seekers, like I'm talking about every lock on. This has the slowest lock on time, like before you give a lock on to a target. I'll say the only difference of why I put the Iglo to overpower from the map because at the time when the Iglo was out, you're able to do the wombo combo, and if you guys don't know what I'm talking about for the wombo combo, it's basically to where you can fire the rocket, immediately reload, and you fire the second rocket, and the rocket that you fired first, it's like you have two rockets that will collide to that target. The straw was kind of different. The Igla and the Javelin were kind of the same thing because, well, the only difference is that the Javelin was an anti-tank, and the Igla was anti-air. Now, the straw, on the other hand, you were able to fire like 3 or 4 launch missiles, just make it easier to kind of hit the target. So yeah, straw was like very overpowered. That's why it just got nerfed a lot. But a lot. Another thing is that people were complaining about. And then also another thing at the time was helicopters are what's the name? I don't want to keep this video long, but helicopters are very slow. Alright, so I'm gonna put the Javelin mediocre once again. I think the reason why I put the Javelin in mediocre because I'll say the part that where the Javelin does excel is communication. As long as you have communication, like a recon player, or if you have a gunner for tank, doesn't matter if it's LAV or MPT. As long as they have a gunner, they're using SO flams. Laser designation is very good for the Javelin. But if I have to say for by itself, the Javelin, like I said at launch, well, the Javelin did suck at first, but after some of the nerfs that the Sora has received and the buffs that Javelin has gotten, it is a very mediocre launcher, and you're able to do one with combo at the time. But now they even removed that for the Javelin. So now, where does the Javelin stand? Now, I will say the Javelin is only good if if you're teaming up with a recon player that is going to be using so plant PLDs or SUAVs and etc. But it is very random to see that because you don't see a lot of recon players that do that. But if you have a friend that is going to be a recon player, if you guys manage to do that, the Javelin can be very deadly for what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that its good purpose is communication. That's the only time Javelin is very good. Alright, next we have I guess the last launcher, which is the Law. I'm putting it straight up to trash. I don't care what anybody says, but the Law is straight up dookie. Why? Well, first and foremost, you're dealing 20 damage for each launcher, and literally for most of the time, it doesn't matter if you have the anti-tank, if you upgrade. It takes like 5 rockets to destroy a tank. Yeah, you hear me, 5 rockets. When it comes to helicopters at the time, you can do mobility hits here and there, but come on now, you can just use a straw and easily destroy helicopters, as long as you know the mechanics. And also another thing with the AI of the missile, of the tracking system of the missile is it actually goes up and hit the target, but I would say this is a launcher to where it's just it feels annoying because it is similar to like a staff shell or active radar missile. It feels annoying, but I don't know. I mean, you could treat this thing as a dumbfire launcher. Don't get me wrong. Like you can just go behind cover, shoot this thing like here and there, but it's gonna take so many shots. That's the thing. But I think for nowadays, uh, the law is very useless. Like the RPG and the small can overshadow it, and even the saw itself. Uh, Even laser designation, the Javelin has that good purpose, or it takes that purpose, because the Javelin is superior at laser designation, so the law doesn't stand out anywhere. Now, I will say the only part, the only thing that the law does stand out would be the velocity, because it is super straight. And you could use this to kill infantry, so, I mean, killing infantry won't be a problem, but yeah. Um, Next, I will put up the the 18 mine. I actually put the 18 mine. I'll put it in mediocre once again. I think the reason why I'll say mediocre because it's the good part about it is it only takes 2 mines just to destroy a tank or something. And yes, you can use this on helicopters and you can kamikaze people. And yeah, it only takes like 2 mines. And I think if you think about the anti-tank field upgrade, you can have like 6 mines. You could just place down like 2 mines to like different locations, and it just makes it extremely deadly. And I'll get to the same for a moment. But the only problem with the 18 mine is that you have to go in the road, or if you have to go in the street or something like that, or yeah, just go on the road and place them down in order to get that sort of satisfaction of a kill, or in order to get the kill, because a lot of tanks driving the road, well, not a lot, but some tank drivers, they actually driving the road. Like, you have to place them to where, as long as you're not, it's very risky of getting exposed. That's the only reason why I put in mediocre. But other than that, you could just use the 18 mine. Doesn't matter if you die. Just wait until the tank just runs over, and yeah. But the slam, I put in mediocre too, because you could do so much with the slam. But I think the 18 mine is further superior. Even though the slam you could throw them, but the slam has been nerfed a few times when people were saying that it does suck. But I guess you do. It does have issues. And actually, the main thing is that I like about the slam is you can use this, and if you have like a launcher, if you're using like a law or something, you can you can actually easily destroy the tank just by just putting slams down, back up a little bit, and then just use your launcher to finish them off. It's a good way to finish off tanks. And yeah. And actually, if you, as you see from my montage, I don't know if anybody have ever put slams from helicopters. I don't know if anybody ever did that, but I did that before. It was too satisfying. Even more satisfying than C4 cheating. Last, the EOD bot. I actually put this at. I put this at great, to be honest. Um, Actually, no. Hmm. I think I should put the EOD. Put it in there. And actually, then again, I'll actually put the slam like great for other because you can use the same for a ton of reasons, but you can stick them with the surfaces. Because I'm thinking about there's like a little bit more you can do with the slam, even though the nerfs I have received. Still useful, but yeah. The OD VOD, the reason why I put it mediocre is because it kind of actually no, I put this as great. Because if you think about it, it's very underrated, but it is very useful for repairing. The only problem I see for the EOD bot is you have to control it, and comparing this to Battlefield 3, it has been nerfed. It's not as it was in Battlefield 3. I'm not saying it was nerfed, because I don't think this thing has ever been touched, but, I mean, you can use this to disarm or arm rush objectives. I find that very useful. It is super effective when it comes to rush game modes. So I will see the EOD bot very useful, and you can also repair tanks, which is very good. And if you're playing maps like Operation Locker or Metro, you're gonna see these things being in that cluster type of uh, or I don't know how to say. You're gonna see this in the Battlefield too, and some servers they ban this just because you get cheesy kills, but it's so like funny just to get kills at it. But yeah, I think that's gonna be my list for every gadget in Battlefield 4. Hmm. Now let me know if you guys want me to actually make a list of ranking assault, support, or recon from worst to best, or not worst to best, but just doing a tier list like I'm doing now. And yeah, hope you guys just really like, subscribe, and see you next time.